Hello, hello. This is my official Smash Ultimate tier list that I'm going to be making today. A little bit of a deviation from our normal videos, as I usually just post more normal clips or edited montages and whatnot. But I personally find tier lists very enjoyable to watch, as they can be very informative. And I think I've gotten to a point where I can reasonably rank each individual character, because I know, their strengths and weaknesses and whatnot, and put them on a tier list. So, let's just get right into it. And of course, as is currently the common trend with tier lists, Ganondorf, the worst character in the game. Not much needs to be said here. His character is extremely slow. He has a couple good things. Nair is obviously very good. Up air is not that bad. He does have quite good edge guarding with run off Nair, run off up air, run off fair. But yeah, this character is just extremely slow. As you will slowly see as a common trend, being slow is absolutely awful in this current meta, especially with the types of characters that are top tier that will abuse the heck out of you if you're slow. This character does not have a game plan going in to any match. I don't think he wins a single matchup. This character is obviously bottom of the barrel. And of course, not far behind Ganondorf is Little Mac. This character is the worst designed character in the game, in my opinion. Second worst, probably. This character is so polarizing in his strengths and his weaknesses that it makes the counterplay so incredibly obvious that he just can't possibly be good. He gets camped out extremely hard. Awful recovery. I do think it is better than Ganondorf's because he has at least side B, which is a gigantic hitbox, which is actually somewhat hard to mess with for some characters. This character was designed to be absolutely unbeatable on the ground and then awful in the air. And just that kind of design where it's such black and white is just not good for competitive format because, top players who know how to abuse these weaknesses are just gonna roll over this kid. There's not much to go in there either. And then next up we have Dr. Mario. Yet again, extremely slow character. His damage output is actually stupid, but the way his hitboxes work and the way that the character's design just leads to so much that is being exploited. Like, for example, something very simple, his up air, the fact that it sends you horizontally when he already has no air mobility and it doesn't even send you vertically is terrible for his combo game. And then, of course, probably these three characters are definitely the three worst recoveries in the game, in this order. The only reason he's not the worst character in the game is simply because of down B. His tornado will cheese you at 25 on the edge sometimes if you get grabbed down throw, down beat. It is very scary. But besides that, this character has to fish for anything he wants. You can just outrun him, outspeed him, and he just ends up being a sitting duck for a majority of the match. Next up, we have Isabelle. And I don't have too good of an opinion on her, but for the fact that no one really plays her, I'm just assuming that she's, E tier. Her frame data is not that good. Her traps, she's clearly worse Villager. There's no reason to play this character over Villager. Her only real gimmicks are side B and down B, and most characters that are relevant or good at least can just hit the down B and explode it. And then extremely explosive recovery. You can either hit her or hit the balloons, which can usually lead to rinse and repeat edge guards. These characters, they're just bad. There's not much to say about them. Next up, we have Zelda. Online, this character's probably here. Probably one of the best in the game, at least top 20. Which my top tier is relatively that big, but we'll get into that later. Once you get in to this character, she really has no options to get you off of her. There's a common theme in Ultimate where many zoners and many of the best zoners, obviously you know which ones they are, and we'll get into them later. They do zone you from halfway across the stage, and Zelda does do that. But then once you get up to those zoners, they also have boxing options. These characters can also scrap. They fight you like high tiers, which is why they're not just sitting ducks when you get up to them. Obviously, you have your R.O.Bs, your Pac-mans, your Snakes, and whatnot. But this character, she does not have boxing options when you get up to her. When you get up to her, you have truly accomplished a mission, and then you might honestly get the stock off of it. This character cannot land at all. Her sweet spots, although they're not hard to hit, they're just inconsistent. Obviously, they are very strong, but, I have lived to 170, 180, 190, 220 even recently against Zeldas because, you just camp them out because their Knight is very predictable, their Din's Fire is not going to hit you if you're playing passively, and then they can't get their grab kill throws, so character can't do much once you get in. Yet again, online extremely good, but in an offline meta, she definitely struggles versus a lot. I think this is going to be the bottom of my E tier. I think these characters are all unviable. I do not believe you can hopefully place high in any type of tournament, in any type of major with these characters, as they just lose to way too much, and they have such exploitable weaknesses that makes them very easy to fight. In mid tier, I'm going to start off my mid tier with King K.Rool. I've seen Many people in many tier lists put him like in the middle of mid tier and whatnot, and I just truly don't understand that. This character is, from my experience as a Sheik main, this character is the easiest character to combo in the entire game. Like more than Ganondorf, more than your heavies, but this character is absolutely destroyed by combos. His recovery is honestly quite bad if you're playing a character who can deal with it. And the only saving grace that doesn't put him as like the worst character in the game for me is the belly armor and the projectiles. I think his crown is not bad. It does create space, and it does, have 2 hits, so people have to be wary of that. And, you can also try to get grab mix-ups while the crown is coming back and whatnot, or even get follow-ups, as we saw happen to Samsora at Congo Saga. But besides that, and his super armor sometimes sometimes allowing him to land, because besides like fast fall and air, this character has no options to land. His character has to prey on mashing Nair out of hit stun because it has armor pretty much like all around the body as his belly sticks out. And his recovery is extremely exploitable if he's not recovering directly from below the stage. And he's like almost going under the stage, because all you have to do is grab ledge and then fast fall, double jump, back air on most characters. I do it with Sheik all the time. I do it with Pikachu. I do it with Meta Knight. I do it with a bunch of characters that I play. And you just rinse and repeat edgeguard this way. King K.Rool is either going to take 1,000,000% from that, or eventually go high, and then you're just going to get a fully charged forward smash. This character has very little options and disadvantage. One of the worst disadvantages in the game. Next up, I'm going to put Ice Climbers. Ice Climbers is a character that's very polarizing when they're at their best, because obviously you have the 0 to deaths, you have the desyncs, you can kill people at literal 0 from anywhere on the stage, but the conditions for that to happen are so rare that it just doesn't happen. The only way that 0 to deaths and the jank stuff about them is going to happen is assuming that you won neutral in a clean enough way that Nana is still like attached to you, that she hasn't gotten hit in any way. Sometimes the shield will not work and hit one of the Ice Climbers, which would split them apart. And many characters, many top tiers especially, are especially good at juggling between the 2 Ice Climbers and making sure they don't relink back to each other. I think Zerasu being one of them, who just absolutely demolishes this character. Their 0 to death and their cheese and their grab game plan just doesn't work against a character like her at all. The 8th worst character in the game, in my opinion, is going to be Meta Knight. This character is basically 50-50 the character. You know what he wants to do for the entire match. The character is extremely predictable. He wants to get his dash attack at that very small, very specific window, I might add, on most characters, so he can get his ladder combos and he can kill you at 20. But the fact that the condition and the possibility and the range for his ladder combos are so small just make this character inherently inconsistent, and consistency is something you really want if you're planning on doing well at a major. As far as I'm aware, this character doesn't have any real representation, as the best Meta Knight being Abadongo once upon a time, but since then dropped the character for Palutena, who, spoilers, will be much higher than Meta Knight in this tier list. So yeah, as the character has very little depth outside of it, that leads to being extremely predictable. Next character is going to be Lucario. Lucario had one of the biggest falls from grace, from the previous iteration, Smash 4, as obviously, one, Rage is not nearly as strong in this game as it was in Smash 4, making it work less well with Aura. Obviously, it still works with Aura, but not to the same degree. Lucario was killing you at literal 20. And also, they nerfed Aura in this game, which really hurt the character because I think the plan that they were going for was, let's nerf Aura so we can make the base character better. Because, yet again, the base character, in my opinion, is probably here. 3rd worst character in the game. Lucario 0 is the 3rd worst character of the game. But having Aura is obviously what even puts him up, 6 more spots. So the fact that they didn't centralize the character around his gimmick, which makes him extremely weak. Because as you will see, the mid-tiers are usually going to be characters that are quite bad but have one specific gimmick. K.Rool has his belly armor, Ice Climbers have their 0 to deaths, Meta Knight has his ladder combos, and Lucario has Aura. It is quite obvious this character's central game plan is supposed to be about getting Aura, and making that worse will inherently make the character much worse, no matter how much you buff the base character. But the character design makes sense, but it's a bit too seesawy. His extreme lows are at 0, where he doesn't do any. His best combo he can get off you is like 20, and that's with like down throw, fair, and air. Even that's probably doing like 23 maybe. So this character was not designed to be good around his gimmick. His gimmick is still good, but in a game like Smash Ultimate where there's so many good characters and there's so much consistent killing, because when this character's at 150, at 160, that's when he becomes scary. But you have characters that are killing you at 90, killing you at 80, killing you at 100. There's so many kill combos that it makes it hard for Lucario to flourish with Aura, which makes him a bad character. Next character is going to be the biggest fall from grace from Smash 4, Miss Bayonetta herself, the former best in the game in the previous game, to now, in my opinion, the bottom 10. This character, one, lost her ability to kill off the top, which is obviously huge, you know. Losing your true 0 to death is obviously a big thing to lose. And the character barely functions as it is. I've fallen out of F-tilt so many times, just even with a little bit of SDI. I've fallen out of her F-tilt, I've fallen out of her up-B, and all of her combos. When the character does work, however, she can look quite scary. This character can still do 80 in one combo from touching you once, and her killing is extremely bad. This character has to either get a good read with witch time, has to look for some up back air confirm, like up tilt back air, or up air back air within one of her combos, or she just has to try to get raw back airs, which is extremely predictable and easy to punish, as it's not very safe. Hold on, let me check real quick. Oh no, her back air is actually only -5 to -6 on shield, so it is relatively safe. And then besides those two options, she either has to get those two or a forward throw off the ledge at like 140 probably. I've lived consistently 200, 220. Next up, we are going to have Bowser Jr. This character has throw combos now, which is probably his biggest thing, and it's what he was missing in the last game. His throw combos, especially with platforms, can be insanely absurd, specifically on fast fallers, however. He's not going to really get them against floaties, but against, you know, your Foxes, your Falcons, your Wolves, your Lynx, you're going to get a lot of percent off your combos. This character, however, can lead to be extremely predictable, as his only approaching tool is obviously side B. If your only approaching tool is, you know, your frame 600 committal option in neutral, then, you know, you're not going to be the best character in the world. This character struggles with getting in at times because side B can be punished quite heavily if you just simply shield. He has to stop it beforehand and then try to, you know, get in and grab you or do some sort of mix-up. The fact that this character has to do some sort of mix-up to even get in is quite bad. The character also is surprisingly stubby. I would say Bowser Jr., if I were to look at him in a bubble and think about his moves, I would say this character is pretty good, but every character above him is better than him. I do think the character is quite as guardable and quite exploitable, but besides that, he's still a pretty good character, but every character above him is strictly better. Next up, we're going to have Richter / Simon. Richter and Simon are characters that were strictly designed to have one thing that they excel at. And even that they're not the best at, but they're still quite good at it. Because character has 3 pretty good projectiles and was made to be an extreme camper and an extreme zoner. And as you see when we get into it, top tier and high tier have plenty of campers and zoners that are much better than him. One of the worst recoveries in the game, I would probably say this character is extremely polarizing in the matchups that he wins. You know, the specific one being Luigi. I think Richter is Luigi's worst matchup by far, but being slow, first of all, and having a bad recovery is just the 3 things to become a terrible character in this game. Next up, we are going to have Villager. Villager is, quite honestly, just better Isabelle. His side B is better than Fishing Rod. His tree is much better than Lloyd Rocket. Tree is not only extremely powerful for ledge trapping, for breaking shields, but it also gives him access to Axe, which is an extremely powerful move. This character suffers from the same things that Isabelle does. Quite exploitable recovery. They're still definitely low tier characters. Next up, we are going to have Incineroar. If you take this character and you take his frame data and you take his combo game and you take his damage output and you take his kill ability and you put this on paper, this character is absolutely ridiculous. The character has very blatant weaknesses, obviously being his recovery, which most characters aren't able to gimp him at early percents, as much as people like to say. So it can be quite hard to get the best of his recovery at earlier percents, so he's still going to be able to play out the majority of his stock, whereas someone like Ganon, who also has high power but a bad recovery, is going to get gimped to any percents. And the second weakness, obviously being his movement speed. Being the slowest character in the game by quite a significant margin makes this character awful. He will just get outran, outzoned, he's going to get put in this place by any character who's even faster than him. But the thing is, he's one of those characters who, I believe, is one buff away from being absolutely incredible. If this character was a little bit faster, if he was just a little bit faster, he would be ridiculous. Next up, we're going to have Kirby. Kirby's main flaw is definitely his air mobility. Being a character that is focused around your aerials and having multiple jumps, you need to have air mobility so you can make the best of your aerials, and Kirby just simply does not have that. The copy ability, as far as I'm aware, is quite irrelevant in most matchups that he loses. I don't think that getting copy will change any of his bad matchups, besides Esam says that this matchup is 55-45, Pikachu's favor, obviously. But if Kirby does get Thunder Jolt, then the matchup does become even, which can be, you know, quite big. But if the copy ability is what you need to become a good character, like, it's going to be extremely obvious with what they're going for. Oh my god, I just realized I forgot a character. King Dedede. He is a heavy with a disjoint. His projectile is one of the worst in the game, if not the worst in the game. It can literally just be used against him, whereas most characters with a projectile can use it from pretty much any distance and be relatively safe. You can just press any move, and every single character in this game has a move that will hit back Gordo. And the fact that that's the case just makes Gordo extremely bad. But there are some who really struggle getting off the ledge versus this character. Obviously, you have insane ledge setups, such as throwing Gordo and then dash attacking, which, 2 frames it kills at 40, so they're forced to pick an option. And usually you have your Gordo behind you to cover that option. And his recovery K is not actually that easy to exploit due to the super armor on the way up during the up B. But overall, this character is just a heavy who does not want to be a heavy. Next up, we have the aerial demon herself, JigglyPuff. Her aerial game is insane. All of her aerials are extremely good. Nair lasts for 70,000 frames. Her side B, 2 frames, and it's a very good combo tool in neutral. But the fact is that in neutral is where this character struggles the most. She can push advantages really well as being one of the best edge guarders in the game, possibly the best edge guarder in the game, with her infinite amount of jumps. Obviously, they're not infinite, by the way. She has 6 jumps, but hyperbole. With her infinite amount of jumps and her long-lasting aerials. But this character's main flaw is that they are stubby. They are extremely stubby. Their best option in neutral is probably Pound, which, yet again, that by itself doesn't even have range. It's just very active and it does a lot of damage to shield. So characters like Sheik, any character with a disjoint will put JigglyPuff in her place. They're gonna whittle you down, they're gonna run you down. They're not gonna let you play your game plan. She does have quite reliable rest confirms in this game. You have down air rest, you have up air rest. If you happen to land a sing off of a tech chase, she has one of the best jab locks being, jab jab sing up air rest. Overall, this character being stubby, along with being the second lightest character in the game, makes her die extremely early and it makes her get walled out extremely hard. Next up, we're going to have Marth. He's just trash Lucina. There's nothing to say about this character. You can't even tell me that he does more damage. You can't even say tippers are better. Tippers are objectively worse than Lucina's even balanced hitboxes. The way the spacing works in this game and the way people try to naturally place their hitboxes, tippers are RNG. Spacing is not real with this character. And the fact that even proper spacing does not get rewarded with tippers most of the time because this character's tippers hitboxes are absolutely awful. You will be consistently living to his up throw percent in this game, which is 170 on most characters. Tippers are just objectively not good. There is absolutely no reason to play this character over Lucina. Matter of fact, now that I keep talking trash about him, I do not think he's here. I'm going to put him here for now. At the end of this, I'm going to individually try at least to rate every character from least to greatest in each given tier. Obviously, that is very hard, but I will try my best. Next up, we have DK. DK is one of those characters that, on paper, it's just like Incineroar. On paper, this character is somewhat ridiculous. Let's go over his flaws and then his strengths. His flaws are that he has one of the worst recoveries in the game. Obviously, it goes mainly horizontal, making it one of the easiest to spike in the game. This character is probably the worst in the game at landing that there is. This character has an extremely hard time landing, for he literally has no tools to land. Besides aerial down B, which that within itself I personally think is not that good. It's quite good for edge guarding characters with linear recoveries and cheesing out some stocks at like 70 with down B up smash. But besides that, this character has an extremely hard time getting down a disadvantage. They're extreme combo food. Yet just one of the worst disadvantages in the game. But when you think about his strengths, this character still does have a lot of sauce to him, to be honest. He has large hitboxes that do a lot of damage. Some of them even combo into each other. His grab game is insane. Those 4 strengths by themselves on a character who does not have the hitbox that he does would make them extremely good. And a character that is obviously faster than he is. So having those 4 strengths make it so his goal is to hit you once and then take the stock. Very Luigi-esque. But he just does it much less effectively than Luigi. And he's honestly not bad at edge guarding either. But the fact is, once you hit him, you probably should be taking the stock if you're a good enough player and you can push a lead. But yeah, he's one of the few characters in this game where grabbing is the ideal punish for shield. Because in this game, shielding is extremely good. So if shielding is good, that's naturally going to make counterplay to shield extremely good. And for most high tiers and top tiers, their counterplay to their enemy shielding is safe shield pressure. That cannot be punished. You have ZSS Neutraler, which is -2 on shield, which means no move in the game can punish it, not even on parry most of the time. Grabbing in this game is not very good either. You have some specific examples like Mario, Link, Joker that have frame 6 grabs, but obviously those characters are few and far between. So a character whose main punish for shield is grabbing is quite a throw, or like a mix-up within the meta itself. So people who are going to be constantly playing against the top and high tiers in bracket that are very popular, such as Wolf, Palu, Wario, and whatnot, are not going to be used to being grabbed out of shield because it's not that common of an option. So DK having that is extremely good for his shield presser and gives him sort of like an inherent strength that not many people talk about, because this character's grab gain with cargo through is obviously very insane. Next up, we're going to have Robin. Robin is very similar to Richter or Simon in the way that they were meant to be designed as an extreme camping character. Two very good projectiles inside B and neutral B, and despite being designed to be an extreme camper, their best place is actually at their ledge trapping, because you have side B, which is almost like a better PK Fire in a sense. I do still think PK Fire is better, but the fact that this character's side B does stay on the ground even if it doesn't hit makes for an inherent option that the opponent cannot get past. This character, yet again, is one of the zoners who does not have the boxing option that makes them extremely good up close. Having a character whose recovery is fueled by a resource which can eventually run out is extremely bad, because that can lead to the character getting inherently gimped, because, you know, if you're just fast fall double jump back here, the recovery multiple times, even when they're at 0, they're eventually going to run out of their wind tome, and they're eventually not going to be able to recover, and that is extremely bad. And I personally don't think that that is good game design. I don't think a character should have a resource that is their recovery, as it can just inherently lead to a major flaw off stage. Next up, we have Piranha Plant. Plant is probably one of the most gimmicky characters in the game, in terms of he has a lot of really bad options, but then he has his gimmicks who are extremely powerful. Obviously, the one that everyone knows about being neutral B, being Pichu. That move does insane damage. It is insane at ledge trapping. It is insane at edge guarding. It kills relatively early. It is an inherent anti-air, making it extremely good for characters that have to approach you with their combo starting aerials, and most combo starters in the game are falling aerials in this current meta, making Pichu extremely good. And the fact that when he's blowing it and it's above him, and if you hit him, the Pichu will hit you, and the fact that this character is also heavy can make this character want to go for trades very often. This character can go for trades almost as much as he wants, because he's going to be heavier than most relevant characters, at least, because many relevant characters are relatively light. So the fact that this character can go for trades like that with Pichu instantly makes him, in my opinion, better than all these characters below him. Pichu honestly makes this character. I do think he has some good moves, being, you know, his up smash, which kills at ludicrously early percents, like 80 on lightweights. And yet again, there's a lot of mid to lightweights in this game that matter, you know? So having such a strong kill option, which is also a good out of shield option, is extremely good for this character. But overall, his gimmicks in neutral B, side B, up smash, they're extremely good. They're good at ledge trapping. This character's best strength is definitely his ledge trapping, as he can cover many options at once with his, his side B that stays there. It stays in place. His neutral B that can cover like 3 options at once. But besides that, his recovery can often lead characters to get the better of him off stage. And his trouble at landing is also something that is definitely existent. And his lack of combos. This character has like down throw fair, I believe, at 0, and that is it. This character does not have combos for the life of him, which isn't bad. You know, if this character had combos, he'd be crazy, because his Pichu does so much damage and his moves to kill so early. This character not having combos makes sense, but it also leads to his demise. Next up, we have another Smash 4 top tier. We have Corrin. Corrin feels like she's stuck in Smash 4, and what I mean by that is this character is absurdly slow for the sword user archetype. You have your Sephiroths, you have your Lucinas, you even have your Ikes, which aren't very slow, but this character feels extremely slow. And originally, I thought this character was like E tier. I thought this character was down here. But this jump that's happened with her is strictly because the buffs that she received in the recent patch, and the fact that somebody's actually picking her up now, being Cosmos. The character has a big sword, and pretty much all of her hitboxes combo, which is her best aspect. This character has surprisingly very good killing, being in Dragon Fang, being in Side B. Side B is still a very good move in this game. Overall, this character is extremely slow, and if they were fast, they would be up here possibly, much like Incineroar. But the fact that this character has very good combos and pretty good range, they're just naturally going to be better than the characters below them. Next up, I'm going to put the fan favorite himself. Banjo's options, I wouldn't even consider them bad, despite him being this low on the tier list. Obviously, we still are on the bottom half of characters. But He has many options, such as his Nair is very good, as it covers his whole body, it has a hitbox all around him. And with the way the meta currently is, and how, like I said before, shield pressure is extremely important, a Nair that covers the hitbox all around you will pretty much just negate shield pressure almost every time. And it is quite a large hitbox as well, so it really helps him out of shield, despite it not being the fastest option in the world. Side B is extremely committal. It is going to be used as a recovery option more than a, killer at 60 in most matchups where he struggles to recover, because his character's recovery is very exploitable, and he pretty much has 5 attempts per stock to get back on stage. Because in some matchups, against a lot of the top tiers, you are going to need to save your Wonder Wing to get back on stage because you just can't contest them. And Wonder Wing is very reactable anyway. This character has, in my opinion, a top 3 2-framing in the game with his down tilt. His down tilt is extremely good. It lingers forever and it sends at an awful angle, where it's like diagonally down. So many characters, even some top tiers, won't be able to recover from that. And besides that, he just has relatively good normals. Besides that, he is a pretty solid character. He's one of those cases where the people above him are just simply better. Also, now is a good time to mention, I truly do not have enough experience with any of the Mii fighters to even rank them, so I just won't be putting them on the tier list. Next up is going to be Ridley. I personally struggle a lot with edgeguarding this character, as their up B is a gigantic hitbox, and it's actually very difficult for most characters to get the better of his recovery, although it may seem bad on paper. He has very good ledge trapping and edgeguarding projectiles in Fireball, and his side B does 1,000,000% and it kills you like 100, assuming that you got grabbed at the other side of the stage, and it's going to do like 20 to 30% on your ride across the stage. Ridley is one of those characters where I think Ridley has like 5 to 6 like incredible moves, like actually top tier moves. His forward tilt is absolutely insane. It has an incredibly strong tipper that also 2 frames if you angle it down. His down tilt leads into combos at most percents, and it kill confirms him to down tilt up air. His Nair is possibly the best Nair in the game. I wouldn't say it is, but I would say it is absolutely top 5. And considering how universally good Nairs are in this game, that is nothing to wince at. This character's Nair is extremely good. His up smash is incredibly good. It covers the entirety of most platform stages that are legal, making tech chase situations very easy for this character, as one option literally covers everything. But besides that, the main detriment of this character is the fact that he is one of the worst combinations in Ultimate of being a big body and also not being heavy. Next up, we are going to have what I believe is definitely the worst Link in the game. He doesn't have the good edge guarding and just overall usage that Detonate Bomb has of normal Link. He doesn't have fire arrows. He doesn't have good combos and kill confirms like Young Link does. He does have some good stuff about him. For example, his bomb. The fact that it's an item means that it doesn't stale. So his kill confirms with bomb are always going to be working, no matter how much you try to go for them or how much you try to use them. He has an okay recovery with the fact that he has a tether, which is something that normal Link doesn't have. Young Link has it as well, but having a tether for your recovery is good. And I also believe he's one of those characters that I can't really see too many blatant weaknesses about him, besides the fact that the counterplay to him is just like it was in the last game, where if you just hold shield across the stage, this guy's just going to press all the buttons that he wants, and he's not going to do anything to you. And then once you find the opportunity, you go in and you just mess him up, because his boxing options are okay, but they're still not that good. So simply holding shield will help you against his character a lot, giving off the fact that he doesn't get a lot off grabs. Overall, solid character. Next, I'm going to be putting Rosalina and Luma, another Fall from Grace character of Smash 4. The biggest problem about this character is of how easy it is to knock away Luma. In this game, many characters that are of the high and top tier have options that are extremely good, and although they might be linear, they were going to work most of the time. So for example, Palutena, if Palutena just nairs into this character, they're going to hit Luma eventually. And that can lead to Luma dying very early and dying multiple times the stock, as it takes 9 seconds, I believe. Oh no, I believe it takes 11 seconds in this game for Luma to come back. And this character without Luma is severely lacking, as their moves just generally don't become as strong. They don't have the set play and the traps that they would usually have with neutral B and, edge guarding specifically with Luna. This character's recovery also leads to them being very exploitable off stage. I do think it is quite bad in this game to have a recovery that has no hitbox, and it does go extremely far. Like, she can get back to the stage from most areas. If you just cover low, this character is forced to recover high, which leads to her being a sitting duck in the air. So those two flaws, with her losing her Luma often and having a bad offstage game, lead her to just not be high tier, Anyways, Mewtwo is going to be up next after Rosalina. Mewtwo falls directly under the Ridley category and of what makes him bad, where this character has an extremely big hitbox. They're extremely tall, it's very Sephiroth-like, and they're also one of the lightest characters in the game. I believe they're only a little bit heavier than Pikachu, which leads them to being an actual lightweight, as opposed to Ridley, where at least he's a midweight. So the way that Mewtwo's damage output and his kill ability works, along with his light nature and his hitbox sizes and his hurtbox sizes, leads him to being a glass cannon, which is usually good in most game archetypes that it exists, because glass cannons usually have some type of thing to cover them in terms of their defenses. But this character's different sides are so polarizing in the sense that Mewtwo will sometimes be killing you at ridiculously early percent, but he also just might die at 50 sometimes due to his light nature and being so easy to hit and easy to combo. And then the other part of this character, which people talk about often, is the tail. Is that this character's tail should absolutely not be a disjoint, because that would instantly shoot the character into S tier. Having a tail that gigantic be a disjoint does not make any sense, as characters with tails in this game, I'm pretty sure all of them have some part of their tail being a hurt box, whether it be Pikachu, Charizard, and whatnot. They all have parts of their tails that are hurt boxes. The problem with Mewtwo is the animations of his tail and how they work, and not necessarily the size. The fact that his tail is still in the position that he was when he was turning around, almost like half a second later after he starts dashing, leads him to being punished for literally just running away from characters. And it leads to characters getting a lot of stray hits on him, which will eventually rack up in damage. And yet again, if you're trading with the tail and you're just hitting it off of stray hits, you're going to rack up damage. And yet again, you're a lightweight, so you're going to be dying very early. So it kind of like builds and builds and builds into how his weaknesses kind of just play into each other in a way that he can't be much higher than this, in my opinion. But much like Incineroar, I will say this is one of those characters where he is a couple buffs away from being absolutely ridiculous. Next up, we have what is, in my opinion, the worst fighting game character of the three, strictly because how his strengths and weaknesses fare against the others. The character's design was to be a heavy hitter, but be slower than his counterpart Ken, who kills a little bit later than him, but is faster. And like I said about before, how movement speed is so important in this meta, with how people naturally like to place hitboxes and how there are many rushdown characters and characters that get put in their place by good movement speed in this game, makes Ryu the worst fighting game character to pick by far. I don't think the difference is too big, but it is definitely noticeable. The character has incredible strengths such as his Tatsu, killing incredibly early, as opposed to Ken's, which combos but doesn't really kill. He has incredible shield break setups. He is overall just more of a powerhouse than Ken. But yet again, Ken being faster just allows for Ken to be a better character. Next up, everyone's favorite DLC character, Byleth. I was definitely in the boat when Byleth came out. I thought this character was here. I thought this was one of the worst characters in the game due to their awful jump height, due to their incredible slowness, and how predictable and choreographed all their hitboxes are. But upon further thinkies, I don't believe that this character is there, for the simple fact that they are, in my opinion, quite linear, but they have an effective game plan. Whereas, when you run into Byleth, you know what's happening. You are fighting a slow sword character who is very good at whiff punishing and kills very early, and has a decent recovery. And that's pretty much all there is to the character. This character's aspects together make them already much better than every character below them, as they have very good stuff about them, such as incredible range with their forward air, back air, and even their side B at times, which is hard to punish. They have the best tether recovery in the game. It's better than Ivysaur's. It's better than Joker's. The fact that it has a wall jump attached to it as well is also very good to mix up recoveries. The bow is an incredibly good mix-up tool. It is good for edgeguard and can lead to early stocks off stage if you read some type of air dodge. Obviously, this character does have some unusable moves, such as down B and fully charged arrow. Watching Leia will truly show you what this character is capable of. Even though they're not high tier, in my opinion, I do believe they have a good bit of schmicks. Next up, we're going to have Duck Hunt. His can is one of the most DLC moves that I have ever seen. Being a frame 1 out is incredibly good no matter what character you put it on. Being able to escape combos almost at any time is incredibly good, despite the fact that he will trade and he will take damage because of it, but it also leads to damage on the opponent, which can sort of be bittersweet because he's getting out of a combo that potentially did more damage, but being a lightweight and trading is never a good thing for any lightweight characters in this game. This character has possibly a bottom 5 recovery in this game in terms of up B. I think his up B is one of the worst, if not the worst in the game, as it has no hitbox. It is severely worse Olimar up B. And his up B doesn't even go that far. It's a recovery that doesn't allow the character many options and disadvantage. So the character is forced to go low and up B to the ledge every single time, making this character have still a bad disadvantage despite having the frame 1 out. And this character immensely struggles with killing. If you're not getting your side B into back air at like 70, 90 on the ledge, you will consistently live against this character to like 200. Duck Hunt is one of those characters where you go to the end result screen and you see that you did like 300 damage and you won the game, and he did like 700. Besides that, he has an incredible zoning, and he is also an example of the zoner who does not have very good boxing options. I also believe that this character is not worth the effort for how difficult they are compared to where he is on the tier list. I believe is one of the hardest in the game. And that combined with where he is in the tier list, I don't think makes him work when you could, for example, just learn a character like Snake, who's very similar, but just extremely better in every single way. Next up, we have the Fall from Grace Pichu. And it might be easy to wonder, hey, why is Pichu looking pretty low on the tier list when Pikachu will inevitably be so high? Well, he hurts himself. He's extreme lightweight. He has to deal with trades. This character is extremely lacking range, forces them to deal with trades, which is, as I said before, one of the worst things that a lightweight will have to go through in this game. But this character still does have the dumb factor of, they could just kill you in 3 combos. This character is, in my opinion, the most explosive character in the game. It was meant to be the absolute epitome of a glass cannon. And as I said, that's usually good, but with Pichu, the glass hasn't even melted yet. They're like a sand cannon. Starting off high tier, what I believe is the worst high tier in the game, Steve from Minecraft. Everyone's favorite meme character. Steve, I believe, is only in high tier due to his counterpick ability. I don't think this character has nearly as many good tools as all the characters that would be placed above him eventually, and this character is lacking in so many areas that allows them to barely scrape high tier. The whole point of this character is to get to Diamond, and that's what the character was kind of sold as, where it's, don't camp this guy out because he's going to get Diamond. But people don't realize that Diamond was meant to be more, in my opinion, of an insurance factor for when he's winning than a comeback factor. When Steve is at his peak, let's say he has a diamond, none of his tools are broken, he has another diamond for next stock because he camped you out so hard, and he has a full inventory of iron, so he can anvil and minecart all he wants. This character seems like he's S tier, because if that situation comes up, he's probably already winning extremely hard. And the fact that he has diamond, so you can't let him whiff punish you at all, or else you'll take extreme damage or even die at 50, makes the character seem so good. But the diamond was not meant to be something that you pull out when you're getting 3 stock and then you just win the game. It's not meant to be Arsene. It's supposed to be an insurance for when you're winning as opposed to a comeback mechanic. And comeback mechanics are notoriously good in Smash history. You have Melee Rest, you have Brawl Ices combos, you have Smash 4 Rage and Lucario and Ryu, you have Ultimate Waft and Joker. I do think this character does have quite a bit of DLC moves. His down tilt is +5 on shield. That is absolutely absurd. I truly think that is a mistake by the developers. I don't think that when a move is hitting someone's shield and I'm looking at frame data and it says plus, already red flags are in my head. I'm like, wait, what do you mean plus? And then it's like +5. That is extremely good on block. It's absolutely crazy. And I truly don't think that could have been an intentional design of the move, as it's a down tilt that multi-hits with the flint and steel. So I truly think it just was an error in development, because I don't think any move should be plus on shield in general, and then that crazy on block. His minecart is, in my opinion, the best side B in the game by a significant margin. It is a projectile command grab that gives you lag when you mash out of it, that leads into all of his moves if he's following you. It is a recovery tool that you cannot mess with unless you're a very specific set of characters. It is a smash inputted killing move at 90 across the edge. But as it is now, his base stats are just so incredibly awful that he can't be much higher than this. Next up, another bottom of the barrel high tier, we're going to have Wii Fit Trainer. This character has the few moves that are very good and what makes them very good, being obviously deep breathing, the soccer ball, and the neutral B, the sun. Those 3 moves together pretty much round out this character and make them as good as they are. Deep breathing allows them to literally become an S tier character for however long that it lasts, giving them more damage, more knockback growth, and the ledge is practically the character's home. This character has an incredibly hard time against every short character basically, which is what prevents them from being higher up, as many short characters are extremely relevant in the current meta. Next up, we're going to have the new Pits. The new recently buffed Pits. I, first of all, do believe that Pit is better than Dark Pit. As you see, one of them is higher. First of all, his side B kills from anywhere off stage. His arrows are better for edge guarding, and just better in general as you can maneuver them more. And they fall under the category of what I believe is the most honest characters in the game. They have a pretty good recovery. It still can be exploited because it's very similar to Arsene recovery, whereas it's just linear and it has no hitbox, which can lead to rinse and repeat edge guards. The fact that they have also gotten kill confirms now is very big, as up air is just a better kill move, and down to up air I believe is a true kill confirm. They're a character that doesn't have any matchups that is worse than 4-6 in my opinion, but they also probably don't have any matchups that are better than 6-4. For those who don't know what I'm referring to, when you're looking at a character's matchup chart, you look at it in terms of what 100% is, right? So if a character's matchup is even, it's 50-50. If a character's matchup is slightly in their favor, it's 55-45. And if it's heavily in their favor, it's 6-4, 60-40. And 40-60 being on the opposite end where it's heavily not in their favor. So I don't believe they have any matchups that are too bad to get around. Not having the gimmick, not having the Arsene, not having the Sephiroth One-Winged Angel, not having the Steve diamond mechanic, and just being completely honest and looking to outplay your opponent will lead to you losing more often than not, because you have to rely on player skill more than the strengths of your character. Next up, we're going to have the first of the 3 species, Falco. This character hits you once with an up tilt, and he cutscene combos you for 80. This character is very close to being absolutely insane. The character has the best jump height in the game, which makes recovering high against him extremely risky, as he can usually meet you or even get there before you most of the time. But this character struggles with the obvious spacey flaws, which are recovery. This character's recovery is extremely exploitable. This character has to be ready to tech, because they will usually get, run off stage backyard with their up being low, and they're very susceptible to 2 frames if they're side being from the side, which leads to them getting a rinse and repeat edge guard, because if you hit their side B once with a back air and they're out stage without a jump, their only option is to side B again. So you can just rinse and repeat that until they're dead or they just kill themselves, because they have no options outside of that. This character also struggles to kill occasionally, as his up tilt back air percent is extremely specific, and his kill throws do not work. This character's kill throws, since he throws them and then shoots the laser, the fact that you can DI out of the laser makes his kill throws extremely inconsistent and extremely bad. If his kill throws worked, however, this character would be top 15 in my opinion. Having kill throws on a shell already as good as this are enough to make any character great. So this character is just missing a couple things from being drastically higher than he already is now. And on that note, I do believe that, even though I'm going to rearrange my tier list later, which I will be doing after I'm done, I believe that the viable line for Ultimate is Piranha Plant. I believe that every character above Piranha Plant, and including him, can go to a major and realistically get top 8. And we've even seen this with Brood, the incredible Japanese Piranha Plant player who got second at a stacked Japanese major, which simply proves that any character above this can realistically do good at a major event. Next up, I'm going to have Ken. I believe he is the middle of the road in terms of fighting game characters go. I basically already explained this character in the Ryu explanation, but I'll go into it quickly. He's faster than Ryu. He only kills a little bit later than Ryu, which is very good. Being faster will always be better if you're not trading too much power because of it. His Fireball, his Hadouken is very good. He has a frame 1 out with focus. So does Ryu, of course, with a frame 1 outs with focus. This character's main flaw stems from his recovery. Next up, I'm going to have Hero. The past controversial character of the hour when he was released. People were talking about banning this character. Australia even banned him from tournaments. This character has pretty good normals, and I'm not even talking about his down B, his menu. Even his forward air, his back air, his nair, they're all very good for zoning. And although they have startup, they usually have high power and high base knockback, which is a very good compensation for having a startup. And then sometimes he's the best character in the game, because you get oomph psych up into a back air and you break their shield, and then you forward smash them at 20 and crit them, because of course you're going to crit there, because that's just how the RNG works, Sometimes they're the best character in the game. And this character has significantly more good moves than they have bad moves. Their bad moves are essentially Ka-Clank, Hocus Pocus, and Metal Slash. And besides that, none of their down B moves are really bad. There's just some that are better than others. Magic Burst is better than most final smashes. If you get that on the edge, it's basically a wrap. Kaboom is one of the best projectiles in the game. I would highly recommend you go look for the hitbox for Kaboom. That hitbox is absurd, and it kills you at like 70 because no one knows how to DI that move correctly. They have half-charge side B to zone people. Their Fireball is quite good. And one of the worst parts about the character is they don't really have a get-off B tool. They don't have out of shield at all besides up B out of shield, which doesn't lead to much damage, and they will usually get punished for it as they don't get sent very far at lower percents. They're one of those characters where their up B relies on a resource. So rinse and repeat edgeguarding them if they go low, because they only have one trajectory, will eventually lead to them running out of MP and being forced to die. Besides that, though, this character is very good in ways that don't revolve around his RNG. His RNG just makes him much better of a character most of the time. Next up, we're going to have the younger brother himself, Luigi. He kills you in a grab. What else can I say? This character will consistently get 90% of one grab. He is so overly rewarded for when he gets a grab that it makes it extremely obvious for what he wants to go for. His frame data is incredibly good. If you look at it and put it on paper, it's very good in any type of scope that you put it. All his aerials are extremely fast, and they're all extremely good at what they do. The only slow part of that with the character is the grab, but that's the mix-up, That's what you're going to go for not as often, because that's the most rewarding thing, so you don't want to make it obvious. His Zair is also very good, as it leads to more ledge trapping and edge guarding attempts, which is kind of crazy because, he's all wacky and he's slow and he's floaty and he's Luigi, so why should he be able to edge guard people, along with the crazy grab combos that he gets? The major downside of the character obviously being his recovery. People don't understand how to counterplay it. I think even a lot of top players don't understand how to edge guard this character properly, where you have to get in front of the side B and tech on stage, and that side B will send him nowhere, and he will be forced to go down a little bit before he can jump or side B again or up B. Of course, there always is the threat that he's going to get a 1 in 10 misfire, which, you gotta hold that. He just got lucky. Not much to do there. But this character's inconsistent by nature, in the sense that if you're not going to be getting your grab combos, if you're not going to be killing people at 100 consistently with down throw down B, or killing people at 60 with down throw up B, you're not going to do as well. This character does struggle with some of the characters below him. I think he struggles versus Duck Hunt. I think he struggles versus Richter. He struggles versus many zoner characters that can keep him out and stop him from getting grabs. I think this is to the point where we are starting to get into objectively very good characters. Luigi's top 4 majors, top 6 majors. So this character clearly has the sauce and the substance to go with the sauce, where he's able to have a game plan, and it works very effectively, despite it being linear. Which is one thing that people don't understand about this game, which really surprises me, is that people assume, oh, this thing is bad because it's linear, so it's predictable. But it's like, if I'm doing this one option and it always works, why do I have to do anything else? It doesn't matter that it's linear. It's going to work because the option is so incredibly good. It doesn't matter how linear it is. Obviously, there are cases where complex is better because the character's kit can be woven through different ways and work coherently, such as Duck Hunt. But if the character has a very linear, extremely good option, it doesn't matter how linear it is because the option is going to beat 90% of the characters in the game. But overall, Luigi is pretty good. Next up, we're going to have Captain Falcon. Instant double jump. Do I need to say anything else? Instant double jump brought this character from what I believed was here to here. Instant double jump made this character insane. He is almost as good as his Smash 4 counterpart. This character will sometimes kill you at 10, kill you at 15, kill you at 17, kill you at 32. Doesn't matter what percent you're at, this character now has options to kill from quite literally anywhere on stage. So let me get into his flaws real quick. His flaws obviously being that his disadvantage is terrible, his recovery off stage is very bad, and many characters can get the better of him off stage. He's surprisingly stubby with a lot of his hitboxes, despite how they look. This character does have some pretty atrocious matchups, of course. I think that Pikachu and Game & Watch are clearly his worst 2 matchups. But if a character can kill you with 10, is it really that bad of a matchup? You know what I'm saying? This character probably has had the biggest rise in the life of Smash Ultimate. Since any of his previous buff, I believe he was like bottom of mid tier, like somewhere like here, to being middle of high tier, is extremely good. This character has risen quite a bit in the game's lifespan, and I think he's only going to go up as Captain Falcon's master the tech for him. Next up, I'm going to have what might be a surprise to a lot of you, but I'm going to put Lucas here. This is definitely my Smash Ultimate controversial opinion. I truly don't understand how people can put Lucas in mid-tier. I think this character is insane. Character has extremely good shield pressure with F-Tilt, which is, it does an absurd amount of damage, like 12 to 13 damage for how non-committal it is. He has good poking with PK Fire, with Forward Air, with PK Freeze even. PK Thunder is a good edge guarding tool that not many people use, as it can snip away people's jumps very easily if you just keep it around them and like they're forced to jump into it or else they'll die. Double Jump Zair is extremely good for combo cornering. And a lot of this character's pressure will naturally put you in the corner, which can lead to him netting stocks very early that way, as obviously you're in the corner, you're going to die sooner to horizontal attacks. His character has some of the best 2-framing in the game with F-Tilt, as it is a quick, spammable 2-frame option that kills people at like 110 on the ledge. It is extremely good for 2-framing. His down smash is also quite good as it hits 3 times. This character's main problem is that he's floaty. So the way it works is that it is harder for floaty characters than fast fallers to do short hop falling aerials. If Lucas is doing a short hop falling fair on your shield, it is a very predictable timing and it is very easy to react to, which can lead to you just running away from the situation, rolling behind him, or even parrying, which can all lead into punishes. The character's recovery is also not nearly as exploitable as people think, as his up B goes incredibly far, and on top of also having a tether, his ledge game is very good. It's very easy for him to get off ledge, in my opinion, with double jump cancels there. I think this is the most underrated character in Smash Ultimate. I cannot wait until the day comes, because the truth is always revealed eventually. I can't wait until some top-level player picks up Lucas and starts doing insane with him. This character has, in my opinion, the most potential in the game to go even higher than this. Next up, we're going to have my most hated character in Smash Ultimate, Terry. This character's damage output goes stupid. This character's jab go dummy. This character's skill potential is absolutely crazy. This character's offstage is not nearly as bad as people say. He came out, people were saying he has little Mac recovery. I was like, what are you guys talking about? This character, when recovering high, is actually kind of hard to mess with for most characters. His gigantic hitboxes in down B and side B, and even his up B, if you hold down so it doesn't snap to ledge, can be very hard and to mess with and can mix up a lot of characters. This character has the very clear dumb factor, being Go, where he gets access to 2 extremely powerful moves that have no limit. They have a very good range, they have very good kill potential, some of them even have combos to go into them. He's not like Lucario in the sense where Lucario with Aura is extremely good, but without Aura he's so bad that you can't really put him much higher than this. Terry does not even need to get Go in a single match to win the match. It is not something that he relies on, it is only something that enhances him by quite a bit, making him extremely good. This character has grab combos for some reason. I don't know why they gave this character grab combos on top of all of the insane things that I just talked about. I don't know why he has down throw, up air, up B at low percentage does like 35. I do think his ledge trapping is some of the best in the game, and I do think, despite what I said optimistically about his recovery, it is still somewhat exploitable. Whereas the character, if the character has to go low, it can be extremely bad for him, but my main goal there was to say that it's not nearly as bad as people say, but that doesn't mean that it's by any means very good. Okay, looking back at this real quick, there are a couple characters that I did miss. Surprisingly, the one that is first, alphabetically speaking currently, we have Bowser. I would put Bowser around right here. I think he's a very well-designed heavy. What he's good at, he's very good at. And what he's good at is up B out of shield, frame 6 side B, which is a command grab, which also kills extremely early on platforms. Flame Breath, which is completely safe on shield, which is also a good edge guarding and ledge trapping tool. Extremely fast for a heavy, and he is the heaviest character in the game, which is something that people overlook a lot. Because although he's combo food, this character lives for mad long. This character struggles in landing, however, he has 2 options, which are down B and down air. Even the best Bowsers are going to go for that every single time, because that's all he really has. And his recovery can be somewhat exploitable sometimes. But besides that, this character has very clear strengths that make him very good. Another character I forgot to put here was Samus. Charge Shot, possibly the best projectile in the game, doing like 31, I believe, fully charged. It is an incredible anti-air for catching people's air dodges. It is a good edge guarding tool. It holds down the neutral. Charge Shot creates this character's neutral. Having a projectile that does that is so non-committal from every single range that you can fire it at, is so good. It has incredible shield damage, it kills, it leads into combos for some reason. You can get some of the highest damaging simple combos in the game, such as half charge shot into grab down throw forward air. That's like 40 right there. Probably even more, like 45. That is insane that a character that is meant to zone can have such good combos off of their zoning options, which leads them to be able to zone and break zones at the same time. Characters that are faster than her or have good ways to get to her can really punish her from anywhere on stage for doing these combo options. Originally, my plan was to place Cloud right after Terry up here, but then when I look at some of these characters' strengths, I don't think he's quite here. I would put him just behind Terry, to be honest, so not far off, but I do think Terry is better. This character, obviously being severely buffed from online, it can be easy to get your opinion skewed of him because, you know, if you want to see the funniest joke in Ultimate, look at this character's offline results and his online results. It's literally night and day. This character is insane online, but this character is complete neutral. Very little combos besides stuff at early percent such as forward air, side B. Limit is, its main use is to give him the movement speed and air drift buffs. No Cloud is ever going to use a limit move besides Blade Beam, because they always use Blade Beam at ledge because the other limit moves are very bad. Finishing Touch just got completely ruined. Cross Slash is not that good. Normal Cross Slash is very punishable. And he probably has a bottom 10 offstage disadvantage in this game. He is one of the easiest characters in the game to edgeguard by far. Most characters can get the better of his recovery with very simple options, which can lead to him being gimped very early. Whereas someone who, even like Incineroar, who has a very bad recovery, doesn't even get gimped that often. Someone like Cloud, who can just die a literal 0, even though he's been winning the match all game, he can just get back throwed and then die 0. And that's why this character can be very inconsistent, and it stops him from being any higher. The parts about him that are good are very good, though. Like I said, his neutral is incredible. All of his aerials are very good. Up air, although not being the monstrosity that it was in Smash 4, is still very good. His game plan is very effective, despite being very linear and often predictable. I think it's time now for the character we've all been waiting for. My main, the one and only Sheik. I believe Sheik is this good on the tier list. Some people might think this is extremely high, as, yet again, as I said, we're getting to the point where these are just objectively very good characters, and Sheik being better than all of these seems kind of crazy. This is where characters start just becoming very good and almost solo main viable. I do think due to how many characters there are in this game that not many characters are solo main viable, but I digress. Let's get into what people want to hear. Sheik is so good. I believe that at the beginning of this game, people thought that she was mid and E tier, simply due to the fact that they weren't used to the withdrawal that they got from the Smash 4 Sheik. The high that was Smash 4 Sheik and how unfair of a character she was and how broken she was really skewed people's opinions of her in this game, but her kill confirms in this game are, in my opinion, much better. Her neutral is absolutely dummy. This character has one of the best neutrals in the game. This character's frame data is what puts her over the edge. Having a frame 3 nair, which is -3, a frame 5 forward air, which is -2, and a frame 4 back air, which is -4, is so incredibly good for neutral. This character out neutrals a lot of the cast, which is not at all something to wince at, which is mainly because neutral is the most sophisticated part of any fighting game, because that is when the most options are present to both players, because neither player has an advantage at that moment. And having a good neutral makes it so some matchups of hers are very polarizing, and she easily wins them. I do think this is among the hardest in the game, however. I think that due to her very minimal damage on individual hits, messing up her combos is more detrimental than most likely any character in the game, besides maybe someone like Pikachu, who has insane combos. Messing up her combos can lead to losing out on 20 to even 40% at times if you could do stuff with IDJ and whatnot. Her needles are an incredibly good transcendent projectile, and having a transcendent projectile in this game is so important. For those of you who don't know, transcendency means that people cannot hit the projectile and get rid of it. The projectile will go through hitboxes and it'll go through other projectiles. So having a transcendent projectile allows her to have an anti-air with her needles, because if someone air dodges to the ground, they will get hit by needles every single time, no matter what, because they don't have a jump anymore. Her ledge trapping is among the best in the game, in my opinion. She is an absolute ledge trap demon. Her long-lasting hitboxes and her side B allow her to ledge trap extremely well. The two statements of her being not able to kill and her not doing damage are just false, because yet again, this character has 40 to 50% combos if you do them correctly. They do take a lot of practice, but we're not here to complain about a character's difficulty. We're here to optimize the character no matter what it takes, which is what pro players and top players are attempting to do. And I'm not a top player, I understand that, but looking through the lens of a top player, in most games that's how it works. You don't see top players complaining about how hard or how broken characters are. They're just going to adapt to it and find out what they need to do, because that's what they're making their careers out of. They're not making their careers out of complaining and asking for nerfs and buffs. Sometimes this character seems like she's the best character in the game when she nairs you at 65 and she reads your tech chase and she gets needles into footstool downer into up smash and kills you at literal 65 for a character that quote unquote can't kill, by the way. And of course, I'm very optimistic about this character because she is my main. I do think very highly of her, as most Sheiks do in general. This character struggles in 3 aspects, which is 1, she's a lightweight. 2, she struggles to do with trades because her hitboxes aren't that big, they're very precise. So the fact that you trade a lot, and if you're a lightweight, you're going to rack up percent early, and if you get comboed, you're going to rack up percent even more, and yet again, you're a lightweight, so you're going to die very early. And the third and final one being that Sheik does not have reliant singular kill moves. And what I mean by that is that she does not have the Wolf back air, she does not have the Palutena back air, she does not have the Joker back air. She doesn't have the move that you can spam and be relatively safe with it, and also threaten to kill at any time. That's just not how it works. Obviously, back airs are very strong kill moves usually, but something like hers back air has a sour spot, so it's very hard to hit. And if you don't get your kill confirms at the windows that they need to be tempted at, then you will be having to fight characters until your dash attack kill percent, which can be even 170 for some characters. But the fact that she has so many options to kill means that she doesn't have to deal with that too often. But yet again, the combination of being light, being very prone to trades, and not having safe kill moves that you can just throw out makes this character not be able to go much higher than this, in my opinion. I do think the character is still unoptimized heavily, despite Void being such an incredible player and finding out most of the things with her and optimizing them. I do think this character has a long way to go in this game's meta, and if she gets buffed further, I can see her definitely being an S tier. Next up, I'm going to be putting Ike. Everyone knows what Ike's capable of, MKLeo played him, Esam played him, you played him, I played him. Everyone played this character, as he has an extremely simple game plan that is extremely effective. His Nair is absolutely incredible of a move. It leads into combos at almost any percent. It can kill, even though it got nerfed with the farther knockback. Ironically, his Nair sending farther made it a nerf because you can't connect Nair into up air as well anymore, but getting the late hit of Nair can still combo into up air, and it combos into up B now, which is an absurdly strong kill move. His character's recovery is absolutely uncontestable by most characters. And I'm speaking of in terms when he goes high. When he goes low and he has to up B, it can be very bad, as some character, like even Sheik, can just throw out a singular needle and it'll stop his recovery. But recovering high with quick draw is extremely hard for most characters to deal with. I think that 5 characters in this game probably can realistically edgeguard his up B and contest with it, which are Pikachu, Snake, Ness, Game & Watch, and Mega Man, I would say, are probably the characters that can do it the best. Not that other characters can't, but definitely the best. This character's fundamentals are extremely good, and although he used to be the case where, oh, just parry the nair and you'll be good because that was his only real move to approach you with, that is now not the case anymore because he has down tilt and F tilt, which are extremely strong moves in terms of comboing and killing, respectively. And the character's decisions often have to be pre-made due to how much startup his moves had, which can lead to him being predictable, which is one of his biggest downsides, because you know what Ikes are going to go for at every single point in the match, because yet again, he has very few options, but they're still very good, which means that he's going to obviously go for them, and it can be punished harder. But a good Ike will be able to mix them up to where you can't really punish them that well. I've just realized that I forgot another character. This is going to be Diddy Kong. Don't worry, I don't think Diddy Kong is this good. Definitely not. I'm going to put Diddy Kong here. This character has since risen from the grave that he was once in due to mainly Tweak picking him up, and many upsets happening. This character is one of the best counterpick characters in the game. I think he does well versus Peach. I think he does well versus Joker. I think he does well versus Zero Suit, which are 3 top tier characters, spoilers. And this character also has some atrocious matchups with many of the characters below him. I think this character struggles heavily with Isabelle. I think he struggles with Dr. Mario. Duck Hunt might be his worst matchup. Pac-man also might be his worst matchup. This character struggles heavily with zoners. Mega Man, Snake, all these characters absolutely wall the character out and don't allow him to do his game plan. The banana is such a good projectile because, let's say, 2 people are in neutral, right? The match starts, and both people, neither of them has an advantage. Now, let's say you replace one of those characters with Diddy Kong. The match starts, he pulls out his banana, and then he goes back to the exact same spot that he was in. Diddy Kong is now winning neutral, without even hitting his opponent, or without even being near his opponent, because the risk of that banana tripping you and slipping will lead to so much damage that you are forced to play a different way. So even though he's not winning neutral, he's getting the better of the situation. This character has, in my opinion, a relatively safe recovery, as the horizontal up B goes incredibly far. Monkey flip and wave bounces and B reverses with the pop gun and banana pool and Mikey flip lead to many mix-ups that make it hard to get the better of him off stage. His worst part is when he's recovering from a diagonal, when he's below the stage, or when he's recovering straight up with his up B, as he can just simply hit him and he'll get hit out of his up B and he'll usually die because he has to wait some time before he can use it again. And the biggest flaw of this character is the fact that he can struggle to kill sometimes, which is ironic because this character can sometimes kill you at 20 with, Z-drop banana or with his Z-drop banana down air, as his down air is one of the strongest spikes in the game. The fact that this character can sometimes not kill you at 170 if he's not getting his banana kill confirms, if he's not landing a banana, his gameplay revolves so heavily around the banana that it can lead to him being somewhat predictable, which is ironic due to the fact that he has so many mix-ups with banana. So, although he's doing a bunch of crazy shit in front of you, he's doing a bunch of wave bounces and B reverses and pulling banana, the character's end goal is still to get one of 2 things, which is a grab, a command grab with his side B, or hit you with the banana to slip you. So, despite all the things that he's doing, he really only has those 3 options, which leads him to being caught out for fishing for kills. I do also think this character is much better online. Or not much better, I do think this character is better online, which can also skew people's opinions, as we've been in the quarantine meta of Smash for quite a while now, your Zeldas, your Samuses, and whatnot. This character, I think, is heavily overrated overall. I do not think he's anywhere near S tier at the moment. I think he has too bad of matchups to even possibly be S tier, but I think he's one of the best counterpick characters in the game. Next up, we're going to put the new hottie on the street, Sephiroth. I think I should start this off with saying that I think this character is better offline than he is online, simply for the fact that it's harder for him to react. This is a general character thing in Smash, because of the online being how it is, but it's harder for him to react with his really strong moves online than it is offline. I do hear the voices of some pro players, such as MK, Leo, and Tweak, saying that he's top tier. Obviously, MK Leo is the best player in the world, so I can definitely see that being a possibility. But I just think that this character's weaknesses are too much to be top tier. I think he is combo food, which is something you don't really see with any of the top tiers, besides one of them, which we'll get into later. And I think that his recovery can be predictable to the point where he is forced to go back to ledge or he will be punished every single time. This character does not have options to not go on ledge. When he's above you, what is he going to do? He's going to inevitably down air, or he's going to air dodge, which you can punish one of them, or you can punish both of them. You can always be ready for the down air due to how much lag it has, and you can always cover the air dodge even though you're preparing for the down air because of how risky and laggy directional air dodges are in this game. This character's range is absolutely insane. The one-winged angel is one of the best comeback mechanics in the game. It increases all of his stats by 0.3, I believe, by 30%, and it gives him an extra jump, one of the most valuable resources in this game, an extra jump. That is so overlooked, and it makes his recovery, from what I just said, to one of the best in the game, because he gets 1 extra jump. That's all the character needs. And it's not a meter either, so it's not going to go away like Cloud Limit or Arsene. It's going to stay until something impactful in the match happens, such as getting a kill or dying. Those two things make this character have a snowball and a comeback mechanic, which is extremely good, as we see in Joker, obviously, with Arsene. Overall, he is a pretty good character. I would not be surprised at all to see this character rise in the tier list. Next up, we're going to have another pre-believed S tier, Greninja. Greninja is the epitome of rock, paper, scissors, except it's in his favor every single time, and that by itself is extremely good. The character is majority neutral and majority combo game, and he is possibly the best whiff punisher in the game. I would probably consider him the best whiff punisher in the game. And let me explain what I mean by he's the epitome of rock, paper, scissors, but it's in his favor. Is the character going to dash attack you for a whiff punish because you whiffed a move? Is he going to forward air you because he wants to zone you? Or is he going to grab you because you tried to shield? Those two options. The only problem with this character is that is it. This character has absolutely no depth outside of those three moves. But it's extremely good, so he doesn't really need the depth. If he had the depth, he would be S tier, possibly even the best in the game. But he's another character like Ike where his game plan is so simple, but extremely effective. It can be very hard for some characters to get the better of his recovery off stage, due to side B being very good horizontally and up B being very good vertically. The only thing that stops this character from being S tier is his out-of-shield game. His out-of-shield game is extremely lackluster. His best option out of shield is a 10-frame grab, which, for those who don't know, the absolute best grabs in this game are frame 6. So if you have a move that is minus 10 or lower, then this character cannot do anything to you out of shield. I have also played this character for a bit. I believe he is among the easiest in the game, but there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think difficulty is something that really needs to be stated because, what does that serve anyone? Just saying that a character is hard or easy doesn't make any sense. It serves no purpose to anyone, and it doesn't make you better as a player. So yet again, there's no problem that this character is easy, which means he could be a good secondary, a good pocket pick character, a good counter pick character. Next up, I'm going to have the other Earthbound kid, Ness. Why does this character kill with every single move that he has? Why does his forward tilt kill? This character's kill power is absolutely absurd. His neutral go crazy. His PK fire is absolutely incredible, one of the best projectiles in the game. His recovery, on paper it's bad, but that air dodge goes so goddamn far that it's not actually as bad as people say. It's definitely worse than Lucas's due to not having a tether and not going as far, but that air dodge is crazy. So for a character who has an exploitable recovery, it's still not that exploitable. The main problems with this character are his recovery and his inability to get down sometimes from being juggled. And that's it. This character is extremely good. Next up, I'm going to have Young Link. We're almost at the end of my high tier. Young Link is so good. This character has Mario boxing frame data with the ability to projectile camp and zone behind it. The only problem with this character is A, his recovery, and 2, no matter what his game plan is, he probably loses to every top tier above him. Or at least like 95% of them. And of course, they're not bad losses. They're probably like 55-45, like most likely all of them. But the fact that this character's game plan can be snuffed out by characters who are just better than him make him not able to be S tier. But still extremely good. He's at the top of my A tier, along with 2 more. Next up, we're going to have Game & Watch. This character is heavily overrated, in my opinion. He struggles in a lot of situations that people don't give him credit for. If you put anything that has to do with a disjoint or a sword in front of this character, he sweats. He struggles. But anything besides that, he's extremely good against. His options to land are very predictable in down air and back air, so that can lead to him possibly being juggled, although it's hard. It usually takes a character better than him to get the best of his inability to get down, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's still there. He has the best out-of-shield option in the game, definitively, objectively, with up B, frame 3 up B. There are maybe 6 moves maybe in the entire game, that do not get punished by his up B out of shield. Also because, not just because it's frame 3, but because it's so gigantic. This character's edge guarding is very good. He has some of the best smash attacks in the game, with down smash and up smash, but this character struggles with hitboxes bigger than his and zoning so much that I don't believe he can be S tier. He's the biggest example of a patience check in the game. I think the other patience checks in Ultimate are Piranha Plant, Jigglypuff, and maybe even someone like Richter, but he's just so much better of characters than they are that he becomes the top of A tier. But I do not think this character is S tier, and the character is very basic in their plan that I don't think they can go up to S tier within this game's lifespan without some buffs. But please don't buff this character because I absolutely hate fighting him. One of my least favorite characters to fight because I can tend to be quite impatient if things don't go my way. Definitely a flaw of mine. Oh my gosh, I forgot Link. Hold up. I think Link is probably here. This character is, in theory, top 5. With his bomb drop infinite and his offensive, I'm talking about offensive bomb link, where he uses his bomb in ways that you Z-drop it to do damage and then you explode it at the end and whatnot, and you get crazy combos with it. That theory link, which does require almost perfect inputs, is top 5, but, you know, that's just something that I like to throw out. I don't think it's realistic in any way until much, much further development happens with the character. Besides that, his only weakness is his recovery. But the fact that you can use Bomb to recover, it makes that weakness not nearly as apparent. His neutral is extremely good with Bomb and Boomerang, 2 of the best projectiles in the game in my opinion. Incredible kill power with Forward Smash, Dash Attack. Those 2 are very risky, but you even have things like F-Tilt at the ledge, Up Tilts, Up Smash, down B in Bomb for getting the best of recovery, such as K.Rools and very linear ones. His Nair is one of the most heinous moves I've ever seen. That foot is like the strongest foot in all of Hyrule. I don't know why it beats out, like, Link's Nair is better than like half the characters in this game. Simply his Nair. It's absolutely crazy. I think it is among the best in the game, and it makes him able to zone and have a boxing option behind that. Having a frame 4 Nair that is -2 is extremely good. And then we have the character who just barely missed his way into top tier, in my opinion. I think very highly of this character, and he's just barely not here. He's going to be Yoshi. This character gets out of every combo in the game by simply pressing the Nair button or the jump button, because his jump is frame 1 and it has super armor. He has incredible damage output. He has some of the dumbest damage output in the game. I don't know why his down air does 30%, but it does for some reason. His up air strings are extremely good and can even kill off the top at earlier percents. The way his flutter, his double jump works, makes him extremely good at edge guarding. His up B is one of the best projectiles in the game for poking and leading into combos even, and he does not struggle with killing in the least, because his back air is a very good kill move. His Nair and his down tilt can lead to tech chase situations or jab lock situations. His up smash is very fast, although its committal is very fast, and he has good edge guarding. I say this is a character who almost has it all. He's strictly worse than the characters above him, and that's it. Wait, my bad, I seem to have forgotten the character again. Hold up. Sonic. I think Sonic is here. Obviously, lame Sonic is the Sonic that we're talking about, the one who wants to only whiff punish you and the one who wants to time you out and win the game through that way, which people seem to have established that it's objectively bad to win the game by timeout, but they don't realize that although most games don't go to time, 90% of games have the intention of timing out. Like, top players have said this themselves. I think that people often forget to counterplay the character, and they forget how many intricacies can go into counterplaying the character. For example, the direction, or depending on whether his homing attack spins clockwise or counterclockwise, depends on how you have to whiff punish it on shield. People often get trapped into the Sonic Vortex, which is like falling into his tech chase situations because he's so fast he can cover every option at once, which is extremely broken, mind you. The best thing I can say about this character is that he is quite literally a win button. And what I mean by that is that a lot of characters slower than him have absolutely no option but to lose. Their only option once you pick Sonic in the character select screen is to lose the game. Many slow characters, which obviously a common trend among mid-tiers is that they're very slow on the ground or in the air. He is a win button and a very good counterpick character for that reason. But it's strange because he's a counterpick character for a lot of characters that are below him. Being the fastest character in the game is already enough to make you an extremely viable character, no matter how your other moves are, because being fast is so important. Overall, he's a pretty good character, but I do think he's quite overrated. The last character we're going to have in high tier, officially, I would have placed this character S tier, but upon further thinkies, I do not think he's S tier. I'm going to put him here. It's going to be Chrom. Chrom has some of the best offense in the game. His combos corner carry you, which lead to him getting stocks very early, as his forward smash and his horizontally killing moves are very strong, and being in the corner will make them kill even earlier. He has very good ledge trapping and 2-framing with his jab and his side B, and even his neutral B to 2-frame. If you get it, you get it, and obviously you can kill very early, but it's not too reliable. This character's only flaw is that with the occasional neutral loss, he might just get gimped. He might just get gimped because his recovery is so bad, and that is a major downside to the character. Being able to get gimped is something that no character in top tier really struggles with, at least too heavily. Even the ones that do, it's not really realistic if you're playing against a good one of them. So the fact that he could just get gimped is his only flaw, but it's such a detrimental flaw that I can't justify putting him in S tier. Now we have reached the top tiers. These characters are the best of the best. I think that after here, there is a clear gap in character viability. I think every single one of these characters has the ability to win a major, so let's get right into it. I'm going to start it off with R.O.B. I think R.O.B is the worst best character. I don't think he's broken by any means. I don't think any character in this game is broken by any means. Obviously, he has his crazy 0 to deaths and whatnot, but I think that when people play against R.O.B, they they forget what's going on. As funny as that sounds, they don't realize that R.O.B players and R.O.B's game plan in general does not care about what you're doing. He's going to predetermine use his good option no matter what the situation is, and no matter what the situation dictates. He's not going to try to outplay you and cover your options by zoning and then fighting. He's going to do his good options no matter what. And the reason for that is R.O.B is so overly rewarded for winning neutral that he can literally 0 to death you, that it doesn't make sense for him to play the patient game and to cover all your options and counterplay what you're doing. He just wants to go for his own game plan. He's one of the prime examples of a zoning, projectile camping character who is quite literally pressuring you from halfway across the stage, and when you get up to him, he's boxing you. He's boxing better than you. He fights you like a high tier. His down tilt is absurd. It's frame 5 minus 3, making it the best down tilt in the game by a significant margin in my opinion. Second best I would probably give to Incineroar. He has the best down tilt in the game. He has an incredible nair, an incredible forward air. He has incredible grab combos at early percents. He has incredible grab killing at late percents. This character is ridiculous. I think what stops him from being any better than this is his disadvantage. His disadvantage sucks. It's quite bad, and that's the worst part about him. And that can lead to him sometimes getting gimped, but not usually because of how much meter he has with his up B and how you won't usually send him far because he's a heavy at low percents. So you won't really get the best of his recovery at low percents, but at high percents is when you can really deal with this character off stage, and he's not gonna get his rage on, you know? He's not gonna get rage and beat you up for it most of the time, because you can just take him off stage and then rinse and repeat edgeguard from there, which will lead to him eventually losing his up B. Like I said, up Bs that require resources are naturally going to be worse than ones that don't, because after a certain amount of attempts, you just have to die. You're forced to SD, and you gotta play out the next stock. And that, you know, you gotta hold that. Next up, I'm going to put Mega Man, Schmagmaman, a character who has fallen from grace, surprisingly, despite still being S tier. I think pre-patch Mega Man before 1.0 was a top 5 character in the game when you had, you know, Leaf Shield along with pellets that did an absurd amount of damage into Metal Blade and then just dying instantly. This character's zoning is still very good, and I think that unlike R.O.B, his main weakness is A, his recovery, which can be exploited very easily, and his boxing options. He does not have the boxing options that I've complained about quite frequently in this tier list that many other zoners have. I think Leaf Shield is an absolutely broken move. It's one of the best moves in the game. It's absolutely absurd. How few characters in this game can deal with Leaf Shield is actually crazy. Next up, I'm going to have Pac-Man. This is where we get into... Actually, I'm going to put Olimar here as well, just so I can talk about these characters. These 4 characters are all very good zoners, but Pac-Man has a fruit for every situation, which is incredibly good in its own right. The fire hydrant, it holds down the neutral. Oh, you want to jump over it? Nope. Get in your place. Oh, you want to break the fire hydrant and try to get to me? Oh, I threw a fruit at you. You're taking 60, kid. Hold that. This character is absolutely ridiculous. He has a frame 3 nair, and he has, in my opinion, the second best recovery in the game. And that being because he can recover and cover a lot of distance without wasting his double jump. He can side B and then up B you, much similarly how Pikachu does. And the reason that is so good is because he can save resources while also covering a lot of ground. Whereas someone like Bayonetta, she has an incredible recovery, but she needs her double jump to make the most of it. If she does not have her double jump, her recovery becomes quite bad after that, because her LB requires on how many jumps she has left. So the fact that characters like Pac-Man and Pikachu don't need their double jump to cover a lot of distance makes them have, in my opinion, quite obviously the best 2 recoveries in the game. Pikachu being number 1, spoilers, and then Pac-Man being number 2. And then Olimar. Olimar falls under a very similar boat, where his Pikmin are one of the dumbest mechanics in the game, where you have to hit the position on your body that they are latching to for them to stop damaging you, and they go on a random position on your body every single time. That is, in my opinion, awful design. I think that one move should kill the Pikmin no matter where they are. I don't think characters should just have... Some characters have no options to get Pikmin off them, and it's instantly like a 9-10 matchup for Olimar, because they just don't have the option to get the Pikmin off them. Or if they do, they have to use that option multiple times, which Olimar can whiff punish you for like 64. This character's recovery is not nearly as bad as people say, although it's still being exploitable due to having no hitbox. As I said before, it is clearly a much better duck hunt recovery. And besides that, this character's projectile camping is some of the best in the game, and his damage output is absolutely crazy. Along with being a lightweight, which makes him small, he's incredibly good. Next up, I'm going to put the hot topic of the hour, Min Min. She has the best neutral in the game, free. So having the best neutral in the game is going to instantly make you a top tier, no matter how bad other aspects of your character may be. This character's recovery is very exploitable. She only has vertical recovery, Her air drift is not that great, and her horizontal tether is extremely bad. She can barely tether at all horizontally. She struggles with landing, as her nair takes a little bit to hit under her, so she's pretty much resorting to down air or air dodging. Besides that, this character's neutral is the best in the game. This character's two-framing is the best in the game. This character's ledge trapping is some of the best in the game. What she is good at, she is extremely good at. And that is what puts her this high for me. She absolutely bodies a majority of the cast. Possibly the best secondary character there is in the game. This character will take care of almost all of these matchups for you. I am definitely in the Japan camp, and I think this character is absolutely S tier. This character is busted. Next up, I'm going to have Fox McCloud, the second best spacey in the game. Before the down air and forward air buffs that recently happened, I had this character here. The simple change to his down air put this character up 9 spots on my tier list and made him S tier again. To be fair, his down air did not function properly previously, so I think this buff was very good for him, and it leads him to have out of shield kill confirms now in terms of down air fast fall up smash, and he has many kill confirms that even kill at 70 with weak dash attack. They usually end with weak dash attack leading into up smash, which is very good. His down air is better than Smash 4 down air in my opinion now, which is huge praise because this character was, in my opinion, top 5 in Smash 4. And their biggest problem is their recovery. I do think characters sometimes don't get patient versus Fox, and they end up doing dumb autopilot things. They don't realize simple game mechanics, such as, for those who don't know, Fox is the fastest faller in the game. So if you have a neutral interaction where both characters are trading, Fox is going to hit the ground first every single time. That, combined with his movement speed, will allow him to rush you down and get the better of the situation, even though you just traded. And the neutral should technically be reset, but it's not. Next up, I'm going to be putting Mario, the Red Man himself, Jumpman, the original. This character is stupid, dude. This character's ridiculous. This character is killing you at 30% in the dumbest ways possible multiple times a stock. His only weakness is that he's stubby. He has very little range, and that leads to him getting snuffed out and traded with a lot. His recovery is extremely good. He has incredible cheese, which is down air and forward air, and grab combos and laddering. This character kills you extremely early. He has cheese that isn't even attacking moves, like Cape. Cape is, I think that move should be changed. I think it is woefully unbalanced. For those who don't know, what Cape does is that it's a reflector that he has, but it also turns you around if it hits you. But the thing is, it reverses your controls for a half a second to a second after. So if he happens to cape you before you're doing your up B and then you up B, your up B will go the other way, and you just instantly die. And I don't think there should be any mechanic that reverses your controls. I think that's incredibly bad design. I think turning you around should be enough, and it will still make the move extremely good. This character is one to watch out for. This character has a touch of death with the fastest grab in the game, being frame 6. I think he was designed to be a very honest character, but he's one of the least honest in the game due to how much cheese and how much early killing he has. This character is ridiculous. Next up, I'm going to be putting Lucina. The character basically has no flaws. The only time this character loses is when they got caught out, and the only times they lose neutral is because of their own mistakes. The character has extremely good options, and the room for error for Lucina is so small because the room for counterplay is so difficult to execute. Lucinas also commonly find themselves getting bullied and disadvantaged, not because the character is lacking, but because of their own mistakes. Because they get greedy, they think they have to down air, they think they have to counter, they think they have to up B, when realistically they could minimize damage just by simply going to ledge and playing out the stock more patiently. I don't think there's much to say about this character because she fits under the category of the most honest character in the game. She's very fundamentals based, which is why, characters like Leo really used her well at the beginning of Ultimate's lifespan. But she has the best fundamentals in the game and the best tools for fundamentals, which allows her to be this good. Next up, I'm going to have Roy. Yes, I do think Roy is several spots better than Chrom. And because of Roy's recovery and how it's much better than Chrom's, Roy is a more consistent character, ironically. Obviously, for those who don't know, Roy has sour spots and sweet spots. His sweet spots are when he hits you with the hilt of his blade and near him, and his sour spots are when he hits you with the tip of the blade for some reason. That doesn't make sense, but sure, whatever you want, Nintendo. Due to his better recovery, he's the more consistent character, despite being the one designed to be less consistent. And his sour spots, they just combo sometimes. His sour spots are in no way a hindrance. They're not a hindrance at all. This character is not even comparable to someone like Marth, whereas Marth will consistently not be killing you until 170. Roy has very consistent killing despite his sour spots, and you will very rarely live past 100 against him due to how strong his sweet spots are. His jab back air, his Jer in general. Jab up air, jab forward air, jab back air. They're all extremely good for combos, and jab back air is an extremely good kill move. He has Jide B, of course, jab side B, which kills at 60 on most characters for some reason, because this character really needs that. The thing is that his combos will often corner carry, and his pressure will put you in the corner, which leads to him netting stocks very early that way with his already incredible base knockback with his hilt moves, making this character overall extremely good. He is an extreme fast faller, so it can lead to him getting specifically comboed by certain characters. And the next character to barely make it out of top 10 is going to be Snake. Everyone knows what's good about Snake, you know? He can box, he can scrap, he can zone, he can projectile camp, he can break zones. His kit is so overloaded and so good. This character has it all. But that's his problem. His problem is that he has it all. It can be very easy to get lost into a rhythm, as it's very hard to consciously think about what you're doing when you're playing the character. Because a lot of people think he's super simple, but no, this character takes depth, and he's very complex in my opinion. People think it's, oh, I press B, I throw a grenade, I win the game. You need to have schmicks with this character to even realistically place high in tournaments and just do good against some of the best players in the world. And the few bad matchups he has where he gets bullied at disadvantage. And his disadvantage forces a lot of 50-50s, which is extremely good because many characters who have bad disadvantages, they're forced to use their good option, or they're only have one option to even use. So the fact that Snake can force 50-50s allows him to possibly get back to ledge without wasting too many resources. But if you know, there's a chance that you can get 50-50 multiple times, so it can lead to him getting rinse and repeat edge guarded. And once the character goes low to recover, it's very easy to spike him. So he's forced to go high in most situations. At number 10 in the game, I'm going to put Pokemon Trainer. The character, and it's going to sound very negative, but the character embodies everything wrong with each individual archetype that they represent. And that might sound complicated, but what I mean is that Squirtle being the lightweight, Ivysaur being the midweight, and Charizard being the heavy, they all have options that are extremely bad for their given archetypes. Like, bad to play against, of course, is what I mean, in terms of they're extremely good, and they're often unfair. Now let me go into what I mean by that. Squirtle, a problem with many small characters in this game is that they're over-rewarded for playing belligerently. Squirtle is the prime example of that. This character has insane combos. He does not care about what options you're picking. He's going to rush you down, he's going to get his damage, and then you're going to switch to Ivysaur. Ivysaur, the problem with a lot of midweights and like normal characters in this game, in terms of size and weight and like movement speed, is that the hitbox size to lag ratio is just not there. Like back air, that move is DLC. There are so many characters in this game who cannot even deal with Ivysaur back air. Down air, that move spikes without even having to go off stage. He has grab combos that kill at like 80 for some reason. The character is ridiculous. And then Charizard is the embodiment of heavies wanting to just spam options until it works. He's a heavy with a frame 6 out of shield option, which is absolutely incredible, being his up B that kills at like 110. And I personally think that Ivysaur is the worst of the three Pokemon. I think it goes Squirtle, Charizard, Ivysaur. I think Squirtle is clearly the best in terms of how good his combo game is and how polarizing he is for some matchups. It can be, for example, I think Sheik does even against Ivysaur and Charizard, but Sheik versus Squirtle is a -2, so a 6-4. So I think that makes Pokemon Trainer one of Sheik's worst matchups in my opinion, but I do think Pokemon Trainer is a 4-6 in Pokemon Trainer's favor. And she goes even with 2 of the 3 Pokemon, but the Squirtle matchup is so polarizing that does not matter, because you can just play with Squirtle for most of the match. And that is the case with a lot of characters that struggle versus Pokemon Trainer, which allows him to be this good. I would say that the main problem with the character is that all 3 of the Pokemon seem to fall to the same stuff. None of them have very good movement speed, besides Charizard, and Charizard being a big body doesn't really compensate for that too well. And they all have quite bad air drift and air mobility. So characters that are good against those are going to naturally beat all 3 Pokemon, which makes this character have some very bad matchups. Like, I think R.O.B absolutely demolishes his character. Number 9 in the game, I'm going to put Wolf O'Donnell. Wolf is the best spacey. His whole kit is like a built-in mix-up. And what I mean by that is, 2 things you fear from Wolf are forward air and his grab, because forward air is a very good zoning tool. It leads to a lot of damage and to very big combos. And then grab is because you're trying to shoot his forward air. Both of those options lead to a lot of damage and very good combos. So there he already has a mix-up within his 2 best moves in terms of starting combos and getting damage off. He has a dash attack, which is very good at zone breaking. It is very good at beating zoners. I think Wolf demolishes most zoners in the game, besides the very good ones. If he doesn't want to zone break with his dash attack, he can just shoot his 10 damage Transcendent Laser. That is insane. And then if you try to zone break at the time he shoots his laser, there's a blade on the end of it. So do you see how it stacks up? This character has options on safety. That just help him so much. And the character's only realistic flaw is his recovery, but you're rarely going to gimp a good wolf, and you're rarely going to get the better of them off stage, making this character number 9. Number 8 in the game, I'm going to put possibly my second most controversial opinion, Inkling. This character has clearly had a fall from grace since the beginning of the game. They were previously believed to be the best character in the game, definitively. Then they did get a couple nerfs, and for the fact that there aren't that many people who play him, Cosmos, the best Inkling player, dropped him for Corrin. So losing your best representative definitely does suck. But people are beginning to put this character like in the top of A tier or even somewhere here in this range. And I just don't agree with that. I could imagine myself seeing that in the past, but I recently picked up this character and I find myself extremely good with them, and I think they're very fun, and I plan on making them my secondary eventually. And this character has the tools to never even get hit. This character is one of the fundamentally most honest characters in the game. They have their cheese with Roller and the Ink Mechanic and Splat Bomb, but I still think this character is quite honest in how they want to kill and how they want to get their combos and their grab game. Everything about the character is so good. They have large hitboxes, some of them are even disjoints, they do lots of damage, they combo into themselves, they lead into grabs which lead into more combos, they have very good kill confirms, being the Roller and then the up throw up air, and the Ink on top of that just makes all those things that much better. I think the character is extremely hard to play, as yet again, they have the tools to never make a mistake, but of course we're just human, we're going to make mistakes eventually. Their dash literally puts them into the ground and goes under most projectiles and most attacks in the game. Their dash dancing looks exactly like they're rolling, so they're unpredictable from every part in the stage. They have a ledge trapping tool which literally detonates, making it absolutely broken because it catches ledge hang and it catches normal get up, and she has to cover only 2 more options after that. This character is ridiculous. Everything is safe, back air is -2, nair is extremely good out of down throw, up throw upper is a very good kill confirm. I would say this character's biggest problem is definitely their killing, because the conditions for Inkling to get the kill are so obvious that it can lead to her being predictable. If you get out of the up throw upper range, all you have to do is shield, because she has no more kill combos out of grab. Her back air is not the best killing back air in the game, unless you roll behind them at the ledge, which is quite obvious to do. You can just shield to avoid the roller, and you're going to get ledge trap, sure, and you're going to get thrown off stage and whatnot, and her ledge trapping is very good, but you're not going to get killed from being grabbed. So the fact that this character only has 2 ways to realistically get kills at those later percents, I do think Inkling is also one of the best edge guarders in the game, maybe the best edge guarder in the game along with Pikachu. The fact that this character's 2 conditions to kill are very obvious and very avoidable if you're not on the money with it as the Inkling player, can lead them to not being as good as people eventually thought. But Inkling is probably the character that I'm waiting for the truth to be revealed about them more than any other character in the game. I think this character has the potential to be the best in the game. I think every character from here on out has some sort of potential to be the best in the game. Next up, we have the Princess of the Mushroom Kingdom, Peach. Peach is one of those weird characters where she has a lot of matchups with random ass characters that you wouldn't think about. Some of the low tiers do extremely well against her, not in a manner that they would win, but in a manner that they have a realistic ability to beat her. I don't think she does very well against Villager. I think she might even lose to Samus. I think that a lot of zoners can try to invalidate her. I think that this character's main flaw is fighting zoners on a big stage, specifically on a big stage. If you're on a small stage, she doesn't care. She'll still just run you down and do her 90% combos. For a character to be this good against top tiers, and also not as good against a lot of characters below her, is very weird. I'd say this character has probably 8-ish losing matchups, which is not a lot at all for a game with 80 characters, but for some of those matchups to be down here are very strange, and it's not a problem that any other top tier really faces besides the occasional counterpick characters like Meta Knight and whatnot. And it takes a very special kit to go off stage against her. I think her recovery is insanely good with Float. Float is hands down the best mechanic in the game, and it's the most important one. If you remove Float from this character, Peach is here. Easily. Float is so important because it allows her to auto-cancel her aerials and have no end lag on any of her aerials, that should just sound insanely broken to you. And turnips are on a whole different level of busted. Being an item that you can have is so good in this game, and specifically for Peach because it leads and follows into her combo game so well, which is what allows her to get 90% off of one down tilt. Because of the way that this character is designed and how a lot of player skill is required to beat some of these sucky matchups, which is why obviously Samsora, second best player in the world, is so ridiculously good, is why I don't think Peach could be much higher than this. I think she might be 1 or 2 spots higher than this. I used to think she was the best in the game, but upon further thinkies, I don't think that's realistic. I think she just loses a bit too many matchups to be the best in the game. So I would fluctuate her between like 2 and 3 spots of what this is. Next up, we're going to have Lady Palutena. She's the prime example of what I was saying before, how people like to talk about how, oh, the character is linear, so they're not as good as people think. That is an argument that gets presented with Palutena more than any other character in this game. And people don't realize that it doesn't matter how linear the character is if their linear options literally beat everything below them. Palutena is one of the few examples of a character that quite literally invalidates every single character below her. Obviously, I am using hyperbole. There are probably some characters that do even or beat her here, but 99% of the characters below her are completely invalidated by her. Besides, some of the top tiers, because a common thing in this game is that top tiers usually beat, lose to, or win against each other. That's just how it is generally. There are clear multiple solutions to multiple problems that can be presented to Palutena. And that is very good, and yet again, over-rewarded for simply doing her game plan of, spamming Nair, looking for back air, because her back air and her dash attack are both invincible because of the shield. She has the best Nair in the game, in my opinion. Like, by far, I don't think it's even close. And any character would be absolutely blessed to have it. Like, quite literally blessed to have a Nair as good as Palutena's. And then on top of this, on top of all the extremely good normals she has, they just threw on projectiles. I don't think this character needs projectiles. And disadvantage can be extremely easy for them. With teleport cancels and whatnot, it can be very easy for them to get out of disadvantage. But yes, this character is one who I believe has it all. Now we have reached the top 5 category. I bet you guys are already wondering who number 1 is going to be. A lot of you might be surprised by my number 1, but I digress. Let's get into number 5. For number 5, I'm going to put Shulk. This character cheats. This character is actually crazy. This character takes the laws of the game and just slaps them. He just throws them out the window. This character does not care about the fundamental laws of this game. He can switch into shield art and smash art. That's something a lot of people overlook. You can switch into shield art to get out of combos. Out of true combos, by the way. The only character in the game that can get out of true combos. Not even characters with frame 1 outs can get out of true combos. But you can also use smash art to get out of combos, because if the combo is situational, you can just switch to smash art to take more knockback, and the combo won't work anymore. All of his arts are extremely good. He has the best neutral B in the game, being Monado arts. Any character in this game would instantly skyrocket like a tier and a half if they had Monado arts. The only thing this character struggles with is not the best disadvantage in the world. This character can struggle to get down, and sometimes when he doesn't have his Monado arts up, he can get camped. And that's about it. Besides that, this character is absolutely crazy. I do believe that this character is the hardest character in the game by a significant margin. I don't even think this character has scratched the surface. Number 4 in the game, I'm going to put... yeah, it's going to be Zero Suit. She falls under the category of what I believe is the hardest character to hit in the game. She's extremely nimble. She has the best move in the game, being down B. Flip kick, jump, whatever you want to call it, is the best move in the entire game. She has the best disadvantage in the entire game. This character simply presses down B and she's out of disadvantage. And sometimes she can even punish you for trying to edgeguard you. She's very good at reverse edgeguarding, and her movement is absolutely insane. She's overall the fastest character in the game, and obviously not in the sense that Sonic is, but in the sense of her combined stats. She has the 3rd highest jump in the game, and the best initial backdash in the game, the best initial dash in the game. And she's also quite fast, along with having a lot of movement options, making her overall the fastest character in the game. This character can sometimes be predictable with how most of her combo starters start with aerials, and most of her mix-ups are either aerials or grabbing you, and her grab can be punished heavily if you spot dodge it, and she doesn't get much reward out of it. And she doesn't do that much damage compared to the top tiers, but she can force you in the corner and Nair flip kick you at 40 and kill you. So and that's not even an exaggeration, that's what the character does. And Marth gets it on every top player, so it's not unrealistic either. This character is ridiculous, and I think to say this character is not at least top 7 is quite unrealistic. This character is absolutely insane. Number 3, I'm going to put Joker. The best way I can describe Joker is I would consider him the counter meta, in the sense that this character has options for everything that you want to do. And a statement like that already makes it seem like he's the best in the game, but there are reasons that I don't think he is. One being his recovery. I think his recovery is quite bad. I think his tether recovery is not as good as people think, and his arson recovery is honestly just bad. It is very exploitable. It's much like Pit's, but it's even slower than Pit's, so it can lead to him getting a rinse and repeat edge guarded, much like even K.Rool. But the sense that he has options for everything that's good is... I am someone who does not want to fight Arsene. As soon as this character gets Arsene, I start camping him. I do my high double jump, I use my mobility because I'm Sheik. I use my needles to zone him out. I do not want to fight Arsene at all. But then I realized I still took like 40% off of his Arsene, and he hasn't hit me. And it's not because he's hitting me with his normals. It's because he's racking up damage with his side B and bullets. His side B does 20% when he has Arsene, and it's the damage over time. So it's extremely fast, and it does 20%. His guns will just start clipping you, and they're not a projectile either, so you can't reflect them. They're considered a disjoint for some reason. Down gun is something that 90% of characters in this game cannot even deal with. The simple fact that down gun and gun in general can just clip your jump away and like get rid of your jump, as we saw MKLeo do to Mars at Genesis 7. And the fact that it can just invalidate so many characters' recoveries makes it one of the best moves in the entire game. And then obviously on top of all this, even if you mess up as the Joker, you get Arsene. And Arsene makes him the best whiff punisher in the game, even better than Greninja. And it makes playing neutral very scary because messing up against Arsene will lead you to take like 60%, like possibly, if he's getting an optimal combo. And that is so crazy because he's killing you at 50%, you know? So the character has so many kill options along with his damage. His grab game is insane. His combos are incredible. This is just a character who has very little flaws. His only flaw is that he gets edge guarded sometimes. And that is what limits him from being number 1 in the game, in my opinion, which is a common thought. I do think he is clearly top 3, but I do not think he's number 1. And for number 2, process of elimination, who's going to be number 1? Number 2 character in the game, I'm going to put Pikachu. It's obviously hard to play in the sense that you can't just pick him up and do a 0 to death. So that's why I think people that study the game and they study the meta and they study the way combos work and how options select works, those are the people that are going to be extremely good with Pikachu, because once you get to that point, he's going to whiff punish you, he's going to parry you, he's going to kill you with 0. Even the recent up air bridges that Isam found out, he said it breaks a couple matchups. He said it might make Joker even worse of a matchup. He said it helps with 0 suit. There are so many good characters that get full up air bridged and killed at literal 40 from a lightweight combo heavy character. The fact that a lightweight combo heavy character takes so little to kill you is ridiculous. It's not even glass cannon at that point, because the 2 weaknesses of Pikachu are his range and the fact that he's light. But the fact that he's light also means that he's very small, which makes him the 3rd hardest character. And I think these are the 3 hardest characters in the game to actually hit, to physically hit, in order. I think Zero Suit's the hardest, and then Joker, and then Pikachu. This character has incredible disadvantage, incredible advantage, incredible recovery, incredible edge guarding. Their killing can sometimes be inconsistent with the fact that if you're not going to get your nair down smashes and your early edge guards, people will live to later percentages, and then you can get raged on. And, rage against a light character can lead to them dying even earlier than they normally would. But overall, I do think that this character is extremely good. And then next, we have Wario. I believe Wario is the best character in the game. And before I talk about Wario, I want to say that I believe these 5 characters have an argument for being the best in the game. I think it's reasonable to put any of these 5 as the best in the game. I personally, for now, I've fluctuated. For a time, I even thought Snake when everyone was on the Snake train. I thought Pokemon Trainer. I used to think Peach. I thought Pikachu. I thought Joker. I thought Shulk at a time. I even thought Zero Suit. But as the way the meta currently is and where I stand, I think Wario is the best character in the game. I think the reason is more of a flaw in game design more than anything. Everything I am going to say will eventually lead into the fact that he is rewarded for not interacting with you. So let's talk about a problem with him first. His problem is that he's stubby, right? So naturally, as a good player, your instant reaction to that is, okay, I'm going to try to whiff punish him more. But whiff punishing is inherently defensive, in the sense that you're not really going to commit until your opponent commits, because you're going to try to punish them for missing a move. Wario doesn't have to commit. He gets rewarded for not interacting with you. And although he's stubby, his hitboxes, he has a lot of them, so they will just trade sometimes. And he's heavy as well. So that means that he's still going to get a lot off of that stock, whether or not he's committing to multiple trades. So already we have his main weakness somewhat working in his favor. And then if you slip up against this guy, you take like 50 minimum. You know what I'm saying? With like nair combos, up air strings. His recovery with Bike is absolutely incredible, uncontestable by most characters in the game. The character also has grab combos for some reason, so a lot of people bring up for the fact that he can't hit short characters, which 1, isn't true, and 2, he has grab up throw up air. He can deal with short characters just fine. And although that is still just 1 throw combo, it makes it so people's natural reaction to counterplaying him is staying on platforms and shielding, because by the time he gets on the platform to try to grab you, you're going to be able to react to it very easily. But the thing is, he has command grab, he has bite, which can instantly get you off of platforms. It does a lot of damage, it kills, and it heals him. I can't believe that so few people talk about the fact that this character has a heal. That is absolutely insane. It's not a lot, but if he's committing to multiple bites due to you trying to counterplay his options, he's going to eventually heal a lot off of that. And 3, even 5% can make a lot of difference whether a move kills you or not, which is something that people don't realize. And the fact that Waft is an optional combo route is one of the silliest things I've ever seen. This character can be losing last stock, and it's basically a last hit scenario, because he kills you with 0 with 1 combo into Waft. If Wario's were seriously committed to winning and seriously committed to camping you out, with assuming an 8-minute timer, this character would get 2 full Wafts in a game. And if that's the case, he is the best character in the game, objectively, because you are playing a 1-life game versus his. People also don't realize that this character can also camp you out extremely well. He has some of the best air mobility in the game, which allows him to be very nimble, despite being, the fat, evil cousin of Mario. He has no projectiles, and he has little range. So why can a character like that even realistically camp you out? But he can, because he's surprisingly fast, his hitboxes are very quick, they combo into each other, they're very large. His combos can either juggle you on platforms vertically, or they can corner carry you off stage, horizontally. I don't think that Waft should be changed, personally. The counterplay around it is there, but it's so apparent and in your face that it makes it hard. I also believe that since this character does have flaws in his normal game plan, such as being stubby, it makes him exploitable in a way to where his best gimmick doesn't need to be nerfed. If anything, I would probably nerf his bike cooldown. That thing is up way too often and allows him to recover for free, as I said earlier. And this character does not struggle to kill at all without Waft. This character has kill combos and kill moves up the wazoo. He has down tilt into dash attack. He has forward tilt, which 2 frames and kills it like 100 on the edge. He has a relatively fast up smash. He has an incredibly strong back air. He's a good edge guarder due to bike. This character's only flaw is in his stubbiness. That is it. This character truly has it all. And the fact that you don't even have to be committed to getting a full Waft is incredible. Half Waft will still kill you at like 60, assuming that he laddered you on the platforms beforehand. It'll still kill most characters, even the heaviest ones in the game, at like 70 or 80. Which is an incredibly consistent combo tool, and although killing at 80 might not seem impressive for some of the more explosive characters in this game, the thing is, he's comboing you to 80, so he's realistically killing you at 0. He's comboing you into the 80%, which after that he gets a Waft confirm off of it. This character gets a Waft confirm off of almost everything. Gluttony versus MKLeo confirmed Waft from jab, and he didn't even mean to do the combo, he just improvised, and he got a Waft confirm off of jab at 0. This character is ridiculous. All these things combined, upon the safety, upon the frame data, upon the kill power, upon the mobility, upon the second best mechanic in the game besides float, make this character the best in the game in my opinion. Anyways, I just gone back to reorder my tier list. There are only a couple spots that I changed in like high tier and mid tier, but this is my official Smash Ultimate tier list. We got the worst of the worst. These characters are truly unviable. We got the mid tiers, gets a little bit better from there. The high tiers, just very good characters. They have 1 or 2 flaws. And then you got the best of the best, the creme de la creme. And yet again, I do believe that the viable line for this game is Piranha Plant. So I think every character above Piranha Plant, and including him, can realistically get top 8 at a major. And I think up here is when you can realistically start to win majors. Overall, I've had a lot of fun playing Ultimate recently in the past couple years. And I truly do believe that it is the best Smash game from the ones that I've played, and I'm looking forward to see what changes happen to characters in the future that may change my spots on this list. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all later.